True Crime with Eve. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine. It's my understanding that you are the go-to person, or you have a lot of information about the Michael Vaughan case, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and it's my understanding that you know a lot. We are approaching what, the 1 year anniversary since Michael Vaughan went missing.
Yes, July 27th will be 1 year.
This case does not get talked about a lot on YouTube. I don't see it a lot at all. I'm covering the Summer Wells case, and that's getting extensive coverage on YouTube, but I don't see a lot about Michael Vaughan.
I have a theory on that. I believe that with the Summer Wells case, so many people have been invested in just Summer Wells that Michael's case was kind of their feel-good case where someone actually did, in fact, abduct him and they're going to find him and all of that stuff. So unfortunately, Summer's case, we all love Summer and we want Summer home and we're invested. We also need to be invested in Michael because a lot of things are being overlooked and you're seeing a lot of similarities between the two cases.
I agree, and that's why my eye is now focused on the Michael Vaughan case, because this case needs attention. There needs to be answers. There needs to be accountability, and a year later, police don't know.
They have nothing. They say just as much as TBI and Hawkins County. So the good thing is that there were people surrounding the Neal family, Brandy Neal and Tyler Vaughan, the parents of Michael Vaughan. There were people surrounding them that were stout supporters, and some of them still are. However, one of them started recording these conversations because things weren't adding up.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, they started to be the timeline for Brandy's stories on interviews, on Twitter Spaces, and that concerned her. So she started recording these conversations, and I'm going to tell you, there is some things in there that blew my mind.
Okay.
And the more and more I listen, the more similarities Michael and Summer's case actually are.
So I want to share this with my following. I got a pretty big following that's growing on my YouTube channel and get people focused on this case. Can you summarize, that day, July 27th, of what happened, the chain of events that led up to Michael being missing?
Well, it really depends on who you hear it from and what day and the mood they were in. But there are a few theories. So at the beginning, it was Tyler was changing the baby's diaper, which is Michael's younger sister. She just woke up from a nap at around 4:30, something like that.
4:30 p.m.
And
in the afternoon?
Yeah, this is when she woke up. Now, it has changed. But anyway, he was last reportedly seen at the end of Southwest 9th in Arizona, which is 2 houses down from where they are, at 6:30. Police don't say how. It has changed from 6 neighbors to 1 neighbor, to he was seen on CCTV footage, to CCTV footage never saw him. It just depends. The story has changed so many times by the person who was not there at the time of his disappearance,
Mm-hmm.
which is Brandy Neal. She was at work.
And where did she Where did she work?
Albertsons in Payette.
Albertsons. And just to this town they lived in is Fruitland, Idaho, correct?
Correct. And here's the thing. The recordings speak for themselves. We don't use conjecture when we're making points, or when I make a video or someone's trying to clarify something. We're not using speculation. We're using the actual words of the mother of Michael Vaughan, or a question that someone directly asked her. Tyler has never come out publicly to plead for his son.
Interesting.
At all. But he'll show up at events and things like that, which is great. But you never really hear him fully say, this is what happened that day. This is the timeline. You only hear recordings through Brandy Neal.
So with Tyler not speaking, is it known? Did he lawyer up? Does he have a lawyer that told him not to speak, or is he just choosing that? Why isn't he speaking?
Brandy said that it's because she is the badass and he's a sissy la la, which I'm assuming means that he doesn't have the the aggressive nature to tackle this situation. This is a recording that she said this. She also said on a Twitter Spaces that people in the community blame him. So it's very hard for him to work and take care of the family and provide if he's being bombarded because he's very sensitive. So she wants to take that full front lead.
Interesting.
And that's concerning.
Well, and also, does Tyler, I understand his first name is Robert Tyler.
Correct.
Does he work? Did he work?
At the time, they were both working at Albertsons. I believe he works there to this day. I did find out that Brandy Neal had switched jobs more recently than she stated before Michael went missing. Mm-hmm. So she worked at a pizza place and then went to Albertsons, and they were switching shifts. So they hired a babysitter to watch Michael because his shift was either earlier in the morning, and then there would be a lapse, and then she would go to work. So in between that, 4-hour lapse, they had a babysitter.
So let me ask you something. Like, I've seen law enforcement in that town release statements. I think they released a statement maybe in the springtime, open-minded to the possibility he being kidnapped. But it didn't seem like that was the case at the beginning. They were saying no evidence of a kidnapping, and then it changed to a kidnapping.
Well, it never actually officially changed to anything. At first, they had got a lot of backlash about the Amber Alert. And we've seen this in the Cody Bigsby case, mm-hmm. that why was there no Amber Alert? And what people don't understand is that there's criteria that has to be met. And not only that, there is a coordinator that law enforcement works with through the Amber Alert that also double checks to make sure that they have enough evidence. They didn't have it. Now, I don't know if that was because of shoddy police work, or they simply really did not have the evidence to show that there was an actual abduction, stranger abduction. But now they're saying it's highly likely that there is an abduction, but they don't specifically say if it was parental, if it was stranger. So it kind of leaves you to an open-ended question of what does that mean? And they will not clarify on that.
Has media been asking them? Like, has people been asking the authorities to come out with more information? I mean, what's going on with the press out there on this case?
I can't tell you how many times I have personally called Fruitland Police Department, the state, Idaho State Police, to get more clarification on what is going on with Michael's case. And it really is the same rhetoric that we're doing everything that we can. We have persons of interest, but working through leads, just the same thing that you see with the Summer Wells case and TBI. It's the same thing. You don't get any information, and we're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs, hoping that not another year goes by that these children are missing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, so I did a little bit. I was looking a little bit into Robert Tyler Vaughan, the father. It seems like his name is connected to, I guess, his father. I guess when you look into databases, you can't really find much about Robert Tyler Vaughan, but you can find a lot about Robert Vaughan, the father. Right.
So they live with the grandfather, which his name is Robert Lee Vaughan, I believe. Robert Lee Vaughan. And then Robert Tyler Vaughan is Michael's father. A lot of databases, I think, get their information crisscrossed because it's not accurate when you're looking it up. And not only that, he does have a criminal record, meaning Michael's father, with drugs. He's been pulled over.
I saw that in Ontario, Oregon.
Correct. So they have a little bit more stricter laws on certain things of what you can know publicly. But at the end of the day, it's very hard to even research both of them because of those issues. And I'm wondering, do they have sealed records? Is there something we can't see because of whatever? There's something there that we can't find.
So. Again, this is why I reached out to you, because you know a lot of insight about this, and I'm kind of learning. I'm in the beginning process, but I find it odd that a year later there's still no answers. I dug into Robert a little bit, and I found that marijuana conviction from 2002 or something like that, or earlier date. with him in Maher County, Oregon, which would be
Mm-hmm.
Ontario. And I saw a public records request, and I don't know if you can also do it or if you should do it, but you could submit public records request. They were going to give me the actual court documents and affidavit of probable cause about his marijuana arrest. I have to pay them money for the records and send it to him.
Correct.
But I was
Right.
trying to get his mug shot, and I couldn't get his mug shot. You know, the mug shot was unavailable. That's what they told me.
Right.
Someone more
They told me the same.
wanted more pictures of this guy, and you know, it paints a picture a little bit about who this guy is. Why did he transition from Oregon over into Utah now? Who is this guy? Because this father, Robert Tyler, or he goes by Tyler, like you said, like he's one of the last known people that's seen Michael.
Yeah, and that's the question that I think we all want to know. People who are really invested in Michael's case. There's a ton of people. When I tell you that Twitter really opened my eyes to, okay, let's look at the facts, because as we know, Summerwell's case takes full front and center, and it has. But when I really dug into Michael's case in January and February, my eyes opened, because you don't hear anything from the person who last saw Michael, potentially. And not only that, the grandfather, Robert Vaughan. None of them want to come out and publicly speak about any of the details. There's a media outreach team that came together on their own fruition, who just really wants to find Michael and blast media outreach. And it's so weird that nobody really wants to pick up on this case. And when someone does, like a local news station or someone who might be on a bigger platform, there's a lot of backlash from the media manager, kind of like a Tim Mullen style, or people who are supporting this family. They attack it.
Who is the media manager? What is the name? Do they have a media manager?
They do. Every time that you put anything public out there, they make not only my life hell, but everyone else around them. So I will message you that information.
Okay.
It just causes too many issues. And we do actually have, finally, this PR rep who is complying with at least one interview. So don't want to ruffle any feathers, because I do care about Michael, and that's what I want, is the information to come out there. But I'll share that with you privately.
Why? I noticed that Michael has a nickname called Monkey. Why they call him Monkey?
Because per Brandy, he was kind of rowdy in the womb, but not only that, he likes to climb, on top of things, and he was kind of a quick walk. He learned how to walk and stuff quickly, and he was just everywhere. So I think that was an interview on YouTube somewhere that you can find. I'll have to send it to you, but he's just rowdy little boy.
Remind the viewers how old Michael was. Michael Monkey Vaughan.
Michael disappeared when he was 5 years old. He turned 6 on June 24th.
June 24th. Okay, so he's 6 years old. It's similar to Summer Wells.
You have no idea.
I mean, you're talking a month after Summer Wells went missing. This happened around the same age. Still unknown answers. Lack of information being released.
Vehicles. I can get into that. There's a white Honda Pilot where no one knows who the driver was. They're not necessarily a suspect, but they just want them to come forward. Same with the Toyota truck. Who drove it? Who was there? They don't know. That's just one of the many.
When you say the
similarities.
Toyota truck, you're talking about with the Summer Wells case, the Toyota truck.
Correct.
Comparison.
Yes.
I noticed that the address of where Michael Vaughan lived with the father and the mother. I looked at an expanded map, and I noticed there's lots of fields right by their home, or lots of, is that wooded area? What is that?
So, in one of the interviews, someone said, I believe it was Brandy or one of her friends, that the cornfields were really high. And so it would be very hard to see Michael if he went through them. But I actually got footage of that day of what the fields looked like. They had already been plowed and harvested. So it was flat. You could have seen anything and everything that went down that day, including the field behind them. So that's kind of, in my opinion, not a big issue. But I don't believe we have any information about dog scents being picked up except for what Brandy has said. And it changes.
Yeah.
So
So, and another thing I also noticed is their home is very close to the Snake River.
Correct.
Um,
It only takes 7 minutes, 5 minutes tops to get there.
and I was looking
And there's
like,
many different ways.
yeah, and I noticed some of the ways would be like not even going in town, it'd be more rural to get there. So it would be like,
Hmm.
no, say for instance, if someone wanted to drive there, you wouldn't really be seen on camera, driving there.
You would think. There has been so much speculation on, well, this person did have a camera 2 houses this way, but it only shows the driveway. It doesn't show people in the road, and then we find that, in fact, there was a camera on another road that would completely, in my opinion, see everybody that went in and out of that road. However, there's multiple ways in and out. But if you bring that up, there's some backlash there. And that's where I started thinking, and a lot of people started thinking, why are you so upset about these different ways out? That's a potential for an abduction. Why is this such an issue? They even made videos about it.
Yeah. Now, as far
So,
as the neighbors, like, what are you hearing from the neighbors? Are they in support of the family? They just quiet, tight-lipped, huh? Tight-lipped.
yeah, it makes me wonder if there's a gag order maybe on the case. I'm not sure. We just don't know anything, and no one will speak in the community. And if they do, they're anonymous. It's just very Summer Wells case,
Yeah. Is there flyers or billboards or any like bulletins that are posted around that town to let the community know Michael's still missing?
Yes, but the first from July to November, no one really knew outside of that little bubble of Fruitland. I had a friend that lived 10 minutes away. He works on aircraft. That's what we do in our lives. But he said, I don't know who that is, when I asked about Michael Vaughan. And I said, you live 10 minutes away and you don't know who he is?
Wow.
And no one did, like all the way from Fruitland to Caldwell to New Plymouth.
And you're saying all the way up through November. So for first 3 months, 4 months, nobody really talked about the case?
No, because everyone was really invested in Summer's case and other missing children's cases. But I don't think that there was enough push from the family, because I would be screaming at the police station, every day. And we don't see those kind of things, just like with Summer.
I noticed that the mother has a Facebook profile, and I noticed that she does post a lot, almost daily, about Michael being missing. Post or share flyers and pictures and stuff like that. Do you think that's because she generally cares, or what do you think is the reason she does that, to keep the image out there, or any other thing to that?
It's hard to say. Look, I'm not saying she's guilty of anything or that Tyler's guilty of anything. The biggest thing that I want to say is that we don't know. We don't have enough information to help them find their missing son. And does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
And here's what I want to push, is to get them out there to jog their memory, especially Tyler and Bob, because those were the two people that saw Michael, potentially the last two, before he went missing.
How close are Tyler and his father, senior and junior? Are they really tight? Like, they live in the same house, but what's their relationship like that you know of?
I mean, I haven't heard of anything specifically about them being very close, but Bob himself has said recently that as close and tight of a family that we are, including law enforcement, he was speaking about law enforcement as well, they don't always tell us everything. But you don't see that in pictures. You don't see that in posts prior to Michael missing. So really, again, we don't know anything. Tyler doesn't come out and speak about anything unless Brandy is either beside him or kind of speaking for him. And so that's the problem that we're having, is why? Let him speak.
So, did the father, Michael's father, Tyler, search? Did he actually go out and search at all?
Right. So at 6:30, 6:42, I believe, there's a breakdown of the timeline, and I do have videos on it, and I can give you kind of the timeline in a little nice, neat package. But around 6:42 is when Tyler stated that he had called and placed an order for a pizza, and then started to look for Michael once he realized that he went missing. And then around 7 o'clock, that's when he went out the door and tried to find Michael, going down to the splash pad, which is 2 blocks away. So he did go and search. But
what is a splash pad?
it's a community park that has that splash pad with the water that comes down, for the kiddos. And he said, here's the weird thing. He said that he went there first and then went behind the splash pad, which opens up into this wooded area at the time. And basically it's a trail that goes behind these houses and up and around to a place called Cornwall Way. Ironically, police were looking for a man with dark hair and a hat around that same time. So it makes you wonder, were they looking for Tyler? Because he said that he was there behind that splash pad.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and we never got clarification on that. Matter of fact, in February, when Brandy spoke to Chris Madonna about Tyler failing his polygraphs and them interrogating him for 8 hours, that's when the information started to dwindle. And a lot of people came to their aid and started fighting these battles of the Twitter weasels coming after them and all that stuff. So,
do you know if Splash Pad had surveillance cameras?
They did. There was a duplex that had these cameras that were pointing. That's where you see the blue Dodge Avenger and the white Honda Pilot. Okay. So those cameras captured that street angle.
So it's my also understand the neighborhood is like the homes are really close. It's not like the Wells. These homes here are like right next to one another. Isn't it sidewalk? They all got sidewalks there?
I believe, I don't know if they have a sidewalk on 9th Street, but I do believe 8th Street does, or at least where the splash pad is, because I think that's what you have to do is have a sidewalk going to any park or post office, because the post office is right next to it.
But each home is like, what, like 20 feet away from each other or something?
If that.
Yeah. It's all lined up. I saw it on the map. I just saw the same shaped homes. If you look on the land glide map or any type of map, the homes are all look like they're almost like built the same. Maybe a little different.
Correct.
But it's like a is it an HOA neighborhood?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but I do know that, depending on the recording you have in the day, there were 6 neighbors that saw him. It dwindled to 4, it dwindled to 2, and then just 1. That's a huge problem.
That is a huge problem. Has any of those neighbors been identified?
No. Brady has stated which house it was, and obviously you could find out by public record who is
and that would be
at that address.
That would be 2 doors down from them.
Actually, the neighbor directly to the left, if you're walking out of their home, and then across the street, one to the left, and I think a few others down that had cameras. So that's the confusing thing is of all of these people who have walked your son from the mailbox to his driveway, so to see him or walk to the front door. There was a party at one of the other ones, and they said, no, go ask your mom. And then he turned around and went home. Nobody saw him. There's just so many caveats. It's like, okay, nobody actually saw this little boy go back home into his home. 6 people? You're telling me 6 people could not have gotten him home safely? So and didn't see any abductors.
So let me understand this. They're confirming he did in fact leave the house but didn't return?
Brandy or the neighbors?
Michael? I mean, nobody knows.
Nobody knows anything. There has never been a public, here is exactly who saw what.
So do they have a garage at their house, the family?
They do.
Do they park a car in that
garage? I heard at one time they did, but I can't confirm it. I do know that when you walk into their home, there's the kitchen area and you have to walk into like a laundry area, and then it spits you out into the garage, and then it spits you out as well out into the yard.
It's like,
but it goes kind of.
I have a garage, but I don't even use it for a vehicle. I just use it for storage. Some people have garages for storage.
Right.
I'm just wondering if they, maybe just come up with a theory, Michael put inside a vehicle in the garage and then the garage door opens, taken out. I mean, has any vehicles been seen leaving their home that day that you know of?
Not that we know of. Bob had a trailer that he no longer has. I believe he sold it in September of 2021. Could be wrong on that date. But there has been theories about that.
Yeah, so you're talking a couple months after he's reported missing, he has a trailer. What kind of trailer? And he sells it.
It's one of those just horse trailers. It's open, but it was covered.
Where was it parked? Where would they park it at their house?
It was parked in the driveway on the side. So Brandy's van would be parked along the street, and then the Jeep that they had would be parked in the driveway, as well as Bob's white truck. And then beside that area is where the trailer was, per the Google Maps. Now, I don't know how that worked out on the day he went missing, but I just know I saw that as of September. And then that's when the trailer was allegedly sold.
So right before we're talking here, I actually talked to a neighbor of Don and Candace Wells on the telephone, and we were talking about abductions. And he told me, what are the statistics of a stranger abducting a child? He said it's almost impossible. Like, it always comes back to the family, and that's what he was emphasizing, because I was asking him, do you think Summer was abducted? Like Don and Candace Wells says, and he just thinks that's ridiculous. And this is a neighbor. So, it's just the numbers. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. It does happen once in a while, but Michael being inside that home there and then suddenly just vanishes. It sounds to me, it's bizarre that a kidnapping could happen.
And that's why you kind of have to think of why maybe law enforcement didn't get that Amber Alert out for Michael. It's because potentially the stats are the stats, and they didn't have enough, evidence to say that a stranger abduction happened, and that's huge. That's a huge thing, like Cody Bigsby,
So another thing I saw, interesting. I guess they're trying to change laws in Idaho with this to allow Amber Alert to come on. Or something. What is that about? Is there something with they're trying to change a law because of that, not getting the Amber Alert out at the time?
Well, Monkey's Law was passed recently earlier this year, and what it was trying to parallel the Amber Alert to include missing endangered people like silver alerts, because Idaho doesn't have a silver alert. So they were trying to pass this legislation to mirror that for everyone that isn't included in the Amber Alert criteria. Ironically, it did pass, but if you look up Wanda Rowe and Gabrielle Rowe, it's a recent case where a mother of a disabled child, I believe she had Down syndrome, and the mother had mental health issues. They went missing, and Monkey's Law did not go off for these two people that they were supposed to be included in. And when asked about this, they said, oh, it's just not up and running yet. So was that a political move just to get Monkey's Law passed? What was the reasoning for that, and why isn't it ready? I know things take time, but you just have two people who have perished because that law wasn't alerted for people to potentially find them before something would have happened to them. So it's very frustrating with Idaho getting anywhere and getting any information on why this is happening.
Yeah, interesting. And again, I looked at the map of the area and I saw those cornfields or fields. Interesting that those fields actually are split up in ownership. It's not like one giant person owns that whole field. It looked like it was different parcels of land owned by different people. I wonder, like, with the searches, they had to get permission from each person to look. And
yes.
How did at the time they searched for Michael, did volunteers, who was searching? Who exactly was searching for him at the time?
Everybody in the community that knew about his disappearance, that showed up on scene basically as it was happening, helped. People from other communities, people from out of state were coming that night. But so ironically,
there were civilians too, not just law enforcement, but civilians.
Yes, but later that night, police actually told Tyler and Brandy to stay home and to sit and wait. I believe that was like 11 o'clock, and then they said that there were a specialized dog being flown in to help find Michael. But they were told to just basically sit tight and wait. So.
Is the FBI involved with this case?
Yes.
Um,
And Idaho State Police.
Okay, so the Idaho State Police be equivalent to a TBI or a State Bureau of Investigation kind of deal.
Right.
Interesting. So, again, I'm going to, share this.
Sure.
Hopefully, there can be some momentum and some, people trying to say, hey, what happened to Michael Vaughan? Michael Vaughan's life mattered.
Yes.
Why isn't there no results here or any updates or any information? You can't even release any, surveillance of an alleged kidnapper, or anything,
Correct.
and it seems like
right.
lately in a lot of these high profile cases, when they come with missing people, the transparency of the police department are getting more tight-lipped. Like, they don't want to share the information with the public. And I think that's bad. That's a bad tactic, because I think the public can help.
I agree.
I mean, the law enforcement relies on tips and information. I know with the Wells case, as far as Ronnie Lawson, the sheriff, they're speaking out saying that YouTube and the people on social media is creating a problem. But at the same time, they do need us. They need the information out there, and there's more tight-lipped now than like I ever seen in years.
Well, it kind of like our natural human self wants to come up with a theory to help find justice for what happened, right? The less you say, the more we're going to think. So it's kind of like you got to pick and choose your battles, law enforcement. Do you want more help, or do you want more speculation that makes you chase leads that go nowhere? It's kind of like it's on you. It's not on the public. It's on law enforcement to do their investigation thoroughly. And if they don't know what they're doing, ask for help. We're here. We pay you as taxpayers to do a service, and we need a refund at this point because we don't know where these kids are.
Was the parents, Tyler and the mother, were they polygraphed?
Brandy, I'm not sure if she was polygraphed, but I do know that the babysitter was, and she didn't know her results, but Tyler was polygraphed twice. So this is how Brandy spun this. Brandy told Chris Madonna, because they did an interview together, that Tyler failed his first polygraph and he about flipped the table over. They had to calm him down. And then they, I guess, interrogated him for 8 hours after that. He took another polygraph test at another time. And when asked about the results, they said, you'll just never have to do this again, per Brandy. That, I don't know what that means, but it doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah, and it's coming out of her mouth. I mean, she wasn't there to know what really happened. Tyler could have told her whatever. It would be good to hear it out of Tyler's mouth, the results, or law enforcement's mouth.
That would be nice.
Of the results. Do you know anything about Tyler having relationships with other females behind the mother's back or anything like that? Or vice versa?
There was a story, I believe Brandy spoke to the lady that was recording, that there was a woman that chased them down and said, your husband is having an affair with so-and-so. And they got into a little bit of an altercation about it because Brandy allegedly stated that she thought Michael was in the back of this woman's car and almost threw a log in it to get him. It was chaos. I just think it's a red herring, but I don't know. Maybe there is something to that situation. If you can ask her to clarify, that'd be great. But I don't think she would like to speak to us Twitter weasels about anything that we've discussed. So,
what about this babysitter? You said, when was the babysitter there? What role does this babysitter have, if at all? Like, how's the babysitter involved? Like, when did she is it a he or she? A babysitter, she, right?
It's a she. She actually was friends with Tyler for years and years and years, even before Brandy and Tyler ever met. I think Brandy and Tyler met at the same place that the babysitter and Tyler used to hang out and do trivia and stuff like that. So at a bar. She actually didn't meet Michael until she started babysitting, which was the setup again because of the Albertsons' different shifts. that were overlapping. So she would just come in to help with that. She was also babysitting twins, I think in another a city at the time. She is quirky. She has said some things that are off the wall, which made her look very suspicious. But I just really honestly think that she's just one of those quirky people that come off a little different. But you can tell that she really loved Michael. She loved spending time with him. They painted rocks the day before. Ironically, she was going to be let go because right around the time he went missing because of whatever reason, I'm not really sure. But that was very strange to me that she was going to be let go out of nowhere when she was doing a great job. So,
what about the child? Their younger child. Is their child still in their care? Parents?
Yes. Yes.
Did Child Protective Services or DCF get involved with this in any way because of, Michael being missing? There's another child in the house. Anything?
Nothing that we are aware of. I don't think she ever mentioned anything. But there were recordings released of Brandy yelling at her youngest, and her nickname is Buggy.
Buggy.
And
How
she was
Buggy. What's her real name? Like, how old is she?
I don't know if I want to put out her real name because she's a minor, but I believe she was 1.5 or 2.
Okay.
Around the time.
So she'd be 3 now.
Right. And Brandy was very aggressive on the phone. She was speaking to these girls that she had confided in, and you could hear them on my page. It's very, very upsetting that she would speak to her little girl like that. And it makes you wonder, was that the norm?
Interesting.
For her to
any
be aggressive.
vigils or any type of thing planned for the 27th of July?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm more interested in an interview on the 27th. Not only that, but a press conference released from Fruitland giving us more information and just saying rhetoric. That's what I'm really hoping.
Say that again. You kind of broke up. Say that again. You were interested in what?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really more interested in law enforcement, whether that be Fruitland or the state police or whatever, FBI, to give some information on where this case is going and getting more national attention on this case because it's not happening. And I feel like there's a reason why. Right in Fruitland.
And, with the Summer Wells case, the TBI gave a statement on the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary, gave a statement. So hopefully that happens. That normally does happen on the anniversaries with these cases. They'll give some sort of update or say something. They probably won't give the information that you're seeking.
Right.
They at least will acknowledge that Michael has been missing for a year and might provide a clue or something.
I hope so. We pulled 911 calls. We got the call logs from the county. We're ready to really dive into, whatever we have to as we have, but we're at a standstill because we don't have anything. And of course,
did you get the 911 calls?
We didn't get the actual recordings. We just got the call log detail of the time and all that stuff, and it's not going to be released.
So what they're saying, because of an open investigation?
Mm-hmm.
Are they acknowledging that 911 was made, a call?
Yes. And it was not the time that Brandy stated. It was at one time 7:02, 7:04, 7:05. It was not. It was 7:21 p.m.
Wow. So that's a 20-minute difference.
Not only that, we don't know who called. And that's interesting too.
Which one said they called? Did any of them say they called?
The babysitter stated that the manager of Albertsons, Ilda, who is the boss of Brandy and Tyler, I assume, she stated that she came on scene and was like, "Oh, well, nobody can find Michael. I guess we better call 911 now," which gives me the impression that she'd been there for a hot minute. So, how long were they really searching for Michael? So we don't know if she called 911 or Tyler stated he did. But the timelines don't make sense. So the time that he stated he called.
So a lot of unknowns and stuff like that. And you've posted videos on your True Crime with Eve YouTube channel, right? On this, so people that could go and want to catch up with this case and find out a lot of insight. That's why I was directed to you, because it seems like you are like one of the top people as far as putting this information out there and trying to summarize and trying to find answers of what happened.
Right. I mean, I've been working with an amazing group of people who were there way before I did. I was just, wanting to help them get it out on a channel. The backlash has been brutal, ugly. People don't want to hear the facts because I think they're traumatized by Summer's case, and rightfully so. But don't let Summer's case cloud your judgment once again on another case, because
different.
They might just be the same, just with a little bit of a different packaging. Open your mind.
Well, it's a snowflake, no snowflake is identical, and it might be a little bit different, but yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna put this out there and share, and I'm more than welcome to come on your panel down the line as I dig in more. Wonderful. And stuff like that. We can share insight and updates, whatnot. We definitely got to get Michael Vaughan's name out there. His life mattered just like Summers and every missing child out there. But Absolutely. It's a mystery. It's a mystery, and what happened to Michael Vaughan?
Absolutely. And if you need any specifics, if you have questions that you don't have an answer to or need something, just let us know. Let me know, and I'll get that information over to you, because there's just so much that, depending on your question, we got to send it.
And now my followers and my subscribers know where to find you. True Crime with Eve, YouTube. You got good stuff out there. That's what I heard. I'm going to go check out. And thank you so much for talking to me and spending the time to share about Michael Vaughan. We're gonna find him too.
Appreciate your help. You've done some amazing work. Keep up the good work. Thank you for your help. And guys, justice for these babies. They all matter.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time speaking to me, Eve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Have
guys.
a good day. Bye-bye.